Okay, well, first of all, let me address some of the things that you said. Sibajo was sacked from heading the economic management team. Now, being the head of the National Economic Council is not something that anybody can do. It's a constitutional position that the vice president holds. So it's not like like he can even be sacked from that. And it's wrong for you to say that this National Economic Council thinks that they've negotiated the biggest infrastructural deals in Nigeria. No, this National Economic Council, being headed by Osibajo, which has the 36 governors, they have overseen a destruction of Nigeria's economy. Nigeria's economy right now, is like an economy that is one step away from insolvency. Nigeria is now the world headquarters for extreme poverty. We've gone from a debt profile of 12 trillion in 2015 to a debt trillion of about 44 trillion, and they've asked to borrow 6 trillion more. So by the time that's approved, it's going to be 50 trillion. In terms of infrastructure, the biggest infrastructure ever built in this country in the last 25 years was the Kaduna-Abuja Railway, and that was built by our administration. So I mean, the facts don't bear out what you just said. And then also, I was a consultant in the office of the vice president in 2003. I was working in England, in Parliament specifically, and then the vice president invited me over. So I was a consultant. I was working with an SSA, Chris Mama, and so we were working together to on these communications. That was what we did in 2003. Now, you talked about his age. You got to remember that age is not necessarily a liability. It's more or less an asset. If you look at the United States reached its zenith under the presidency of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan became president on his 70th year. He became president of America, and then he was able to lead America at a time when America was facing the kind of crisis that Nigeria is facing. America was facing internal crisis and external crisis with the Cold War, and Ronald Reagan was able to defeat the USSR in the Cold War, and that enabled America to divert resources that they were spending on the arms race into pressing domestic issues, and that led to the groundwork that made America to have the kind of progress that they had in the 90s, because they were no longer spending their monies on the arms race. So Reagan was their oldest president at that time. He became president at 70, his 70th year, and he governed for 8 years. So if you look at the man, Atiku Abubakar, he has a very, very good record in public service for about 20 years in customs. And then thereafter, he went into the private sector. He employs more people than the Adamawa state government. So I don't want to come here and start campaigning for him. I'm answering your specific question because you raised that issue with Atiku Abubakar. Now, in terms of where he comes from, like I said, Nigeria should focus on competence. We should not be electing leaders based on where they come from. That's what we did with Muhammadu Buhari, and look at where it has led us. So we don't want a person to say, okay, I'm going to be president because I come from the south or because I come from a northern. We don't want a southern president or a northern president. We want a Nigerian president. That's what I'm going to say on that.